Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistike. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, Chapter 3, the external reasons for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, text 98 onwards. Lokagati dekhi acharya karuna hartaya, vichara karena loker kaicha hitahaya. Seeing the activities of the world, the acharya felt compassion and began to ponder how he could act for the people's benefit. So Acharya means Advaita Acharya, and seeing the activities, because it was completely atheistic. Piety, impiety was going on, but no devotional service. And Advaita Acharya knew without devotional service, they cannot get the real benefit. and this compassion, the compassion was there in his heart, how they can get benefited. This sort of serious interest in the welfare of the public makes one a bona fide acharya. An acharya does not exploit his followers. Since the acharya is a confidential servitor of the Lord, his heart is always full of compassion for the humanity in its suffering. He knows that all suffering is due to the absence of devotional service to the Lord, and therefore he always tries to find ways to change people's activities, making them favorable for the attainment of devotion. That is a qualification of an acharya. So acharya, this is acharya. Acharya means his own acharan has to be perfect. And this is one of the characteristics of his behavior. He is compassionate for the humanity in its suffering. Although Sri Advaita Prabhu himself was powerful enough to do the work, as a submissive servitor, he thought that without the personal appearance of the Lord, no one could improve the fallen condition of society. So this was his thought, and this is how he believed, because now Advaita Acharya is Mahavishnu, but he himself thinks, I am a servant of Lord Krishna. So without his personal appearance, I cannot do anything. This is the mood, even of Mahavishnu. And same thing about Balramji, we'll read later, but Nityanand Prabhu, what he did. So this is the mood of the Lord. Then what should be our mood? We are nothing actually in comparison to Advaita Acharya or Nityanand Prabhu. What should be our mood? Our mood should be only of service of Krishna, Krishna and his devotees, that's all. In the grim clutches of Maya, the first-class prisoners of this material world wrongly think themselves happy because they're rich, powerful, resourceful, and so on. And that's the story everywhere. These foolish creatures do not know that they are nothing but play dolls in the hands of material nature, and that at any moment, material nature's pitiless intrigues can crush to dust all their plans or godless services, godless activities. And this we have seen so many big leaders just die, and all their plans are just crushed to dust. Such foolish prisoners cannot see that however they improve their position by artificial means, the calamities of repeated birth, death, disease, and old age are always beyond the jurisdiction of their control. Foolish as they are, they neglect these major problems of life and busy themselves with false things that cannot help them solve the real problems. We are trying to find solution to our temporary and imaginative problems. And there are no solutions for that. And at the same time, you're not trying to solve the real problems of life, which is birth, death, old age, and disease. Nobody's working to solve that problem. They know that they do not want to suffer death or the pangs of disease and old age, but under the influence of illusory energy, they're grossly negligent and therefore do nothing to solve the problems. And they think, or we think, especially the scientists, oh, there'll be a time when we don't have to die, we'll not die, we'll not get sick. We just take that pill, we will make a pill, you take that and you will not die. That's not going to happen. Because this is the law of nature. Nature means law of Krishna. Nature is Krishna's energy. Janm, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadir, Dukh, Doshan, Darshan. In Bhagavad Gita, he says. So the point is not to avoid death. Point is to avoid next birth. That is a real point. So Prabhupada said, this is called Maya. People held in the grip of Maya, thrown into oblivion after death. And as a result of their karma, in the next life, they become dogs or gods. Although most of them become dogs. To become gods in the next life, they must engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, they're sure to become dogs or hogs in terms of the laws of nature. Prabhupada said, although most of them become dogs, because this is our consciousness. This is kind of activities we perform, and the kind of consciousness we are developing of animals. So we will get the body of animals. The third-class prisoners, being less materially opulent than the first-class prisoners, endeavors to imitate them, for they also have no information of the real nature of their imprisonment. Thus they also are misled by the illusory material nature. The function of the Acharya, however, is to change the activities of both the first-class and third-class prisoners for their real benefit. Even the first-class prisoners, even if somebody is very, very rich, it doesn't matter. He's still oblivious of the real problems of life, and he's not working how to get rid of this taking birth again. How can I avoid taking birth again? And this is what Prabhupada says. This is the function of Acharya, to change the activities of both the first class and third class, and obviously second class also, prisoners for the real benefit. This endeavor makes him a very dear devotee of the Lord, who says clearly in the Bhagavad Gita that no one in human society is dearer to him than a devotee who constantly engages in his service by finding ways to preach the message of Godhead for the real benefit of the world. Real benefit of the world. The so-called acharyas of the age of Kali are more concerned with exploiting the resources of the followers than mitigating their miseries. And this is true. Even if the so-called spiritual leaders, they wear robes and have long flowing beard just to create this kind of image in the follower's mind that this is my guru and he is such a renounced person, such a divine person. But they just exploit the resources of the followers. But Shri Advaita Prabhu, as an ideal Acharya, was concerned with improving the condition of the whole, of the world situation. So that's why he's called Advaita Acharya. And he thought, how can I help them? He felt compassion and began to ponder how he could act for people's benefit. आपने श्री कृष्ण यदि करे न अवतार, आपने आचार्य भक्ति करे न प्रचार. Advaitacharya thought if Shri Krishna were to appear as an incarnation, he himself could preach devotion by his personal example. Nama vinu kali kale dharma nahiya, kali kale kaiche habe Krishna avatar. In this age of Kali, there is no religion other than the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. But how in this age will the Lord appear as an incarnation? Because Kali Yuga is such an age, Krishna doesn't just appear. There has to be some background. Shuddha bhave karibe Krishnera aradhan, nirantara sadanya karibe nivedan. I shall worship Krishna in a purified state of mind. I shall constantly petition him in humbleness. So this is what Advaitacharya, Mahavishnu is thinking. Aniya Krishnere karo kirtana sanchar, tabe se Advaita naam safala hama. My name Advaita will be fitting if I'm able to induce Krishna to inaugurate the movement of the chanting of the holy name. Advaita. Advaita means non-different. Non-different from Krishna. But it doesn't mean he is Krishna. The non-dualist Mayavadi philosopher who falsely believes that he is non-different from the Lord is unable to call him like Advaita Prabhu. Advaita Prabhu is non-different from the Lord in the terms that they both are Vishnu Tattva category. But yet in his relationship with the Lord, he does not merge with him, but eternally renders service unto him as a plenary portion. Eternally renders service. Very, very important thing to understand. This is inconceivable for Mayavadis because they think in terms of mundane sense perception and therefore think that non-dualism necessitates losing one's separate identity. It's clear from this verse, however, that Advaita Prabhu, although retaining his separate identity, is non-different from the Lord. Although retaining his separate identity, he did not merge in Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached the philosophy of inconceivable, simultaneous oneness with the Lord and difference from him. Advaita, Dvaita Tattva, or conceivable dualism and monism are conceptions of the imperfect senses which are unable to reach the transcendence because the transcendence is beyond the conception of limited potency. The actions of Sri Advaita Prabhu, however, give tangible proof of inconceivable non-dualism. Non-dualism means it is monism, but is inconceivable. That's Achintya Bheda Veda Tattva. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Achintya, inconceivable. One who therefore surrenders unto Sri Advaita Prabhu can easily follow the philosophy of inconceivable, simultaneous dualism and monism. So we are separate and one at the same time, simultaneous. Krishna Vasha Karivena Kono Aradhane Vicharite Ek Shloka Ilataramane. While he was thinking about how to propitiate Krishna by worship, the following verse came to his mind. Tulasi Dalamatrena Jalasya Chulukena Va Vikrinite Swamatmanam Bhaktebhyo Bhakta Vatsala. Shri Krishna, who is very affectionate towards his devotees, sells himself to a devotee who offers him merely a tulsi leaf and a palmful of water. This is mercy of the Lord. Who's Krishna, he sells himself to a devotee who offers him merely a tulsi leaf and a palmful of water. This is a verse from Gautamiya Tantra. Ei shlokartha acharya kare na vicharam, Krishna ke tulsi jal daya ye jan. Tara rin shodite Krishna kare na chintan, Jal tulsi rasam kichu gare nahi dhan. Advaita Acharya considered the meaning of the words in this way. Not finding any way to repay the debt he owes to one who offers him a tulsi leaf and water. Lord Krishna thinks there is no wealth in my possession that is equal to a tulsi leaf and water. So this we can offer at home also. Tulsi leaf and water. Who cannot? Who is it that cannot offer? Especially in India, tulsi leaves are available everywhere. Here it is very hard to let Tulsi Devi survive in the winter time. But in India, it's abundance. So just offer Tulsi leaf and water and he will be very happy. I'm not saying don't offer bhoga to him, because if we can, we should. Tabe atma vechi kare rinera shodhan eta bhavi acharya kare na aradhan. Thus the Lord liquidates a debt by offering himself to the devotee. Considering in this way, the Acharya began worshipping the Lord. Through devotional service, one can easily please Lord Krishna with a leaf of the tulsi plant and a little water. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or some water, patram pushpam phalam tvayam, when offered with devotion, very much pleases him. He universally accepts the services of his devotees. Even the poorest of devotees in any part of the world can secure a small flower, fruit or leaf and a little water. And if these offerings, and especially tulsi leaves and Ganges water, are offered to Krishna with devotion, he is very satisfied. It is said that Krishna is so much pleased by such devotional service that he offers himself to his devotee in exchange for it. Srila Advaita Acharya knew this fact, and therefore he decided to call for the personality of Godhead, Krishna, to descend by worshipping the Lord with tulsi leaves and the water of the Ganges. Because he was in Shantipur, and right next to his house, the Ganges flew. Ganges were there, they were flows. So, so he could get Ganges water, tulsi leaf, and would worship his Shaligram Shila with that. Ganga Jal Tulsi Manjari Anukshan, Krishna Pad Padma Bhavi Kare Samarpan. Thinking of the lotus feet of Shri Krishna, he constantly offered tulsi buds. Tulsi buds means manjari in water from the Ganges. Krishnera avan kare kariya hunkar, e mate Krishnera kare lavata. He appealed to Shri Krishna with loud calls and thus made it possible for Krishna to appear. Loud calls, that's why his another name is Nada. Nada means one who makes loud calls. Mahaprabhu called him with that name. And thus made it possible for Krishna to appear. In fact, when we go to Shantipur, that house, parts of the rooms of his house are still there. And there is a big temple or big structure is built over there, where Advaita Acharya used to live. And that Shaligram Shila is still there, which he used to worship. And with this tulsi leaves and Ganges water, every day we would bathe. And he petitioned to Shaligram Shila for Krishna to appear. Chaitanya avatare mukhya hetu, bhakte ichhaye avatare dharma setu. Therefore, the principal reason for Sri Chaitanya's descent is this appeal by Advaita Acharya. The Lord, the protector of religion, appears by the desire of his devotee. And Advaita Acharya's desire was what? He wasn't worshipping Shaligram Shila to get some material benefits. For he was petitioning for the Lord to appear so that he could deliver the conditioned souls of this Kali Yuga. Tvam bhakti yoga paribhavita hrita saroja asya shrutekshita patho nanu natha punsa. Yad yad dhyana dhyata urugai vibhavayanti tat tat vapu pranayashet sad anugrihaya. O my Lord, you always dwell in the vision and hearing of your pure devotees. You always also live in their lotus-like hearts, which are purified by devotion service. O my Lord, who glorified by exalted prayers, you show special favor to your devotees by manifesting yourself in the eternal forms in which they welcome you. This text from Srimad Bhagavatam is a prayer by Lord Brahma to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna for his blessings in the work of creation. Knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be understood from the descriptions of the Vedic scriptures. For example, Brahma Samhita describes that in the abode of Lord Krishna, which is made of Chintamani, the Lord, acting as a cowherd boy, is served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. Mayavadis think that the devotees have imagined the form of Krishna, but the authentic Vedic scriptures have actually described Krishna in its various transcendental forms. So the word Shruta in Shrutekshita Patha refers to Vedas, and Ikshita indicates that the way to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead is by proper study of the Vedic scriptures. One cannot imagine something about God or his form. Such imagination is not accepted by those who are serious about enlightenment. Here Brahma says that one can know Krishna through the path of properly understanding the Vedic texts. If by studying the name, form, name, qualities, past and paraphernalia of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is attracted to the Lord. One can execute devotional service, and the form of the Lord will be impressed in his heart and remain transcendently situated there. So that is only possible when one develops love for God. Such transcendental absorption is known as samadhi. A pure devotee is always thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a person qualified to see the Lord. One cannot speak of Urugai, the Lord who is glorified by sublime prayers, unless one is transcendently elevated. The Lord has innumerable forms, as the Brahma Samhita confirms, Advaitam Achyutam and Adimanantaram. The Lord expands himself in innumerable Swa-Ansha forms. When a devotee, hearing about these innumerable forms, becomes attached to one and always thinks of him, the Lord appears to him in that form. Lord Krishna is especially pleasing to such devotees, in whose hearts he is always present because of their highly elevated transcendental love. And Advaita Acharya, by first he is Mahavishnu, and then he is petitioning the Lord with so many loud calls, prayers, and worshipping him with Tulsi Jal and Tulsi and Ganga Jal. Krishna had to come. Shloker artha kahi sankshepe rasa bhakter ichhaye krishnera sarva avatar. The essence of the meaning of this verse is that Lord Krishna appears in all his innumerable eternal forms because of the desires of his pure devotees. So Chaturtha Shlokera Artha Haila Shunishchite Avatirna Haila Gora Prema Prakashite. Thus I have surely determined the meaning of the fourth verse. Lord Gauranga, Lord Chaitanya appeared as an incarnation to preach unalloyed love of God. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Padayara Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in the footsteps. So thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, third chapter, describing the external reasons for the appearance of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So tomorrow we'll start chapter 4, the confidential reasons for the appearance of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So more wonderful mercy is going to flow, nectar is going to flow. Okay, so we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, so you all have safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank